I think we need to talk about the race situation in the U.S. today. There are protests that have turned violent following a black man dying at the hands of the police in Minneapolis. And I didn't mention it at all this morning. Partially that was just I wasn't aware of how bad it has gotten. I was aware that there were protests, and I was aware that a man had died at the hands of the police. But I hadn't looked into it further. And the reason for that is, quite frankly, that I've become desensitized. And I think I want to just be really honest, because the longer I work at this video, and this was meant to be like a 10-minute thing, and I've been at it for 2 or 3 hours now, the more I work at this video, the more angry I get. I've shut myself off to this craziness for a reason. It does not make sense to me. It does make sense, but it doesn't make sense why it's even an issue. I get so upset about it. The history of race in the U.S. just boggles my mind. Slavery, segregation, ghettoization, redlining, etc., racial profiling. It boggles my mind that that's a thing. And I see, I do believe, maybe it's because I'm a good Calvinist, but I do believe that, humans are just kind of problematic. We have these problematic traits. We like to draw lines, and we like to scapegoat. That's a human tendency that we need to work hard to overcome. And so to me, especially in a earlier culture and civilization, it makes sense that we could be so racist. I don't like it, but I it doesn't surprise me that 200 years ago there could be this kind of thing. But the fact that it still persists, even though we know better, and with plenty of experience to illustrate, just boggles my mind. On top of that, just the news coming out of the US right now, you can't make this stuff up. Like, it's bizarre. And frankly, as someone that lives not far from the US border in Canada, I live in southern Ontario, not far from the shore of Lake Ontario, which is the border, that is, in my opinion, it is a bomb, a powder keg, just waiting to go off, and I am within range of the blast. And it scares me. So I didn't realize how bad it's been, but I've kind of shut it off. And as I've worked on this and sort of gotten angrier and angrier and more wound up, I realize why I've shut it off. I can't be this angry all the time. And I'd really like to do something, but I don't know what to do. Maybe I should leave it there. And so I wanted to offer an explanation and just a reflection on it. The system is broken. And I think as much as I'm a pacifist, and the older I get, the more of a pacifist I am, these riots seem like the most natural thing in the world to me. I don't want to condone looting and that kind of thing. But at the same time, this whole thing is just so nonsensical. And nobody is listening or doing anything about it. And there's, I can't get over how much the Ku Klux Klan is in the news. And how white supremacy is just an everyday topic right now. How did we get here? How did we get here? Anyway, when people are so frustrated and the situation is just so stupid, of course we're going to have protests. And unfortunately, we know, and I was a block away from the G20 protests. I had a friend that was in the G20 protests. The only reason I wasn't was because I was working. I had to stay in the residence and do security while it was happening at Queen's Park. Or not far from Queen's Park. Anyway, so I get that things get out of hand when you've got a group of angry people together. You're going to have the pacifists and you're going to have the radicals. I guess they're both kind of radicals, but anyway, you know what I mean. So it just, when people are that fed up, of course this is going to happen. And I can't blame them. I can't condone the violence, but what else is there to do? Anyway, I hope that we all work towards God's vision for peace. I hope that we're part of the solution and not part of the problem. And perhaps the good news of this video will be that it can be part of a larger discernment process. I don't know what to do now. That's making me angry. But maybe by the end of the day or the week or whatever, maybe we will know what to do. I don't know. Let's just maybe have a moment of silent prayer and ask for peace. And peace for everybody, because when an oppressed group swings back at the oppressor, that just starts a pendulum swinging. So I think we need to pray for peace for everybody, pray for understanding for everybody, and pray for true, peaceful reconciliation. God, grant me the strength to change what I can change, the patience to deal with what I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Amen.